All right, I got questions. We need answers. Who is RB2 on the Dallas Cowboys in 2024? So, I'm starting our series, guys. Cowboys camp battles. If you guys have been with me before, I've kind of done this to kind of preview and kind of take a deeper dive into what battles, what underrated battles, what battles are we looking at heading into Oxnard, and obviously that'll kind of shape this season and shape this team. And one that we really haven't talked about is RB2 or just the production that'll be replaced from Ezekiel Elliott. Now, let's talk about Zeke. Zeke had 231 carries last year. That's a lot of production that at some point does need to be replaced. And the beautiful thing about this team is the unknown, right? The unknown. Right now, there's a lot in the running back room that we don't know. I had a good conversation with John Machota, and one of the things that he talked about was he thought that the Cowboys would do more at the running back position early. Now, they drafted Deuce Vaughn, and we'll talk about him. They drafted Hunter Lupke, who we'll talk about as well. But he felt like, hey, and I did as well. You know, I was pushing Jahmyr Gibbs. I was pushing some of those backs um, throughout the draft process. But Dallas said, no, we like Deuce Vaughn. We'll wait. We wanted to address the defense. We wanted to address certain things there. And I think that they really hit their goal and hit their mark by doing that. But now we need to find out, does Dallas have enough behind Tony Pollard? So that's the unknown. But first, let's talk about what we do know. Tony Pollard had his best year last year, bar none. He was a Ferrari. He was a Corvette. The only thing that we need to find out is, will he still be able to drive that car over and over and over again? Some of the sentiment about his game is that the more carries he gets, the less juice that he will be able to show, and that's not the sentiment. That's kind of either that's not even the argument. That's just the thought, right? But to me, I don't believe that. I believe that Tony Pollard is here to stay. I think that he actually will outplay his. Like they tagged him this year. I think that he will actually play so well that they'll say, guys, we can't just move on from Pollard, or we can't just, hey, let's go into the draft and let's pigeonhole ourselves into drafting a running back next year. I think what we'll see is these younger guys kind of step up in that role player type role, and Pollard will be who he is. When Pollard left the San Francisco game, I'm actually in the process of watching all the Cowboys games, and I'm going back, so I'm starting with the San Francisco game. When Pollard left the San Francisco game, the Cowboys just didn't have enough juice. They just didn't have a threat out of the backfield. I love Zeke, but he just wasn't the same threat that Pollard was. That's who you have to have all year. I was watching the Bears game. I just said I was going back, but then I was watching the Bears game on Saturday, and just the way he was able to take over that game, it was nothing short of special. So if you can get that player consistently, which I think that you can, he's already said that he's ahead of schedule. You've watched interviews. He is ahead of schedule. With what Schottenheimer wants to do, with what McCarthy wants to do, quick game, West Coast vibes, Tony Pollard will have another stellar year, barring injury. Now, we also know who Ronald Jones is. And this is where things get tricky to me. This is still the known. This is the known, okay? This is the title, the known. Ronald Jones, drafted out of USC, had some decent years in Tampa Bay, but ultimately, we do have to talk about Leonard Fournette beat him out in his playoff run. Leonard Fournette fell into favor with Tampa Bay, and then he goes to Kansas City and he couldn't get on the field. That's who Ronald Jones is. It's tricky because he's a fast guy and a big body, and you don't know if you want him to be a downhill guy. You don't know if you want him to be a change of pace guy. But the problem with Ronald Jones for me is there's not a point. There's nothing in his game that I can point to and say, Ronald Jones does that extremely well. Like, you know, with Deuce Vaughn, it's clear. Quickness in space with Hunter Lupke is clear. He's versatile. He's a big body that can block. That's my cat. Sorry, y'all. If y'all saw a little thunder in my cat's being a brat. Come here, Penny. Come here. She doesn't want to be on camera. I don't look at Ronald Jones's game and say, and I wrote this down and said, what does he do well? I don't know what Ronald Jones does well. And if you guys want to tell me in the chat, but I think that he was more of a security signing than somebody who you lean on. And I think you want these other guys to take the role. The known, Malik Davis. Malik Davis is extremely interesting because the Green Bay game said, this guy has some juice. Um, he's another one, though, that I look at his skill set and say, because of the size, the speed isn't amazing. What does Malik Davis do well? And then fast forward to the San Francisco game where you needed another back to do something. Zeke just didn't have it. And maybe that was more charity to Zeke, but again, Zeke just didn't have it. Why not give Malik Davis a carry or two or three? The Cowboys did not. That lets me know their trust radar for the player. Now, I will say this. He did average 7 yards a carry in that Green Bay loss. He had some amazing runs. And with our line, I feel like he is a back that will knife it in there, that will hit it the way it's supposed to be hit. The problem is, I just don't know if he has the versatility that you need. Utility. What is it? Versatility. Potato. Tomato. I don't know if he has enough in his bag that the Cowboys say, we can use him in certain situations. He's our third down guy because he catches the ball real well. He has enough wiggle to get on the edge. Like, we got to remember when Pollard was coming in for spell work for Zeke, it was so cool because his hands are exceptional. We just don't know if Malik Davis has that in his bag. And, that'll be something that we're watching throughout camp. And now the unknown. Rico Dowdle, Hunter Lukey, Deuce Vaughn. To me, and this is now where I get into my bold statement, guys. To me, this is where the running back room will be shaped. I like Ronald Jones. I like Malik Davis. But I do believe in Hunter Lukey, and I do believe in Deuce Vaughn. And we just don't know enough about Rico Dowdle. He had an injury. He didn't play last year. We just don't know enough. But I think that one of those three will be the name that will be your running back too. It's very interesting that Hunter Lukey was already taking reps with the first team in goal line. This guy is he's not, yes, he's like Kyle Juszczyk, but if you go back to my draft video, and when I did my unknown and my under radar players, Hunter was on that list. I really believe very highly in the player. And it would not surprise me if he's gotten into camp, he was at minicamp, he was at OTAs, and it would not surprise me if he's already fell in favor with the coaching staff because of just how much he can do, how smooth he is at everything that he does. Definitely a straight line, one step downhill type of guy, but that's okay if that's going to be your spell short yardage situation for Tony Pollard. Another wild card is Deuce Vaughn. If Deuce Vaughn shows that he can handle NFL physicalness, he's better than Rojo. I'm saying this now. He's better than Malik Davis, and he's a different player than Hunter Lukey. If he shows that he can handle the physicalness, and he has to show it in space and making people miss, he's better than those guys. I'm just going to say that now. I don't care about the size. I don't care about any of that. He is better than those guys, and I think that he will be the one that, if he shows that the game is not too big for him, literally, then I think he's the one. And then Rico Dowdle, we just don't know enough about. So my bold prediction, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this, I think that Deuce Vaughn, by the time we get to mid, because this is flowing water here. This is ever changing. I think that by the time we get to mid-season, Deuce Vaughn will be the second running back called up. Hunter Lukey will actually be your ox, H-back, fullback, a leak out the backfield guy who can get some short yardage bump. And I think Malik Davis will still be around, but it'll just be hard to keep Deuce Vaughn off the field. I really do believe that. You guys let me know what you think. Who's our running back two, y'all? You guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Foots. I got another one coming this week. Camp battles. Who's our RB2? Because I can't wait to talk about our receiver 4. That's our next one. This receiver room is going to be crazy. It's your boy Foots. Oh, and it won't have Stephon Diggs on it. Peace. Oh, make sure you guys are getting the project. It's doing numbers on Spotify. Make sure you guys are getting it. Love y'all. Peace.